Great. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Lacey Kesler. I'm the founder of Women in No Code, and I am so happy to be here with these amazing women today on this panel, talking about how we can get more women involved in no code and the steps that we're taking internally as founders, builders, and makers. So I'm going to go ahead and ask all of the panelists to introduce themselves. So Sam, why don't we start with you?
Hi. Sorry, can you hear me? There's a bit of noise, but I'm Samantha Lloyd. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Metaranks. Metaranks is a no-code AI platform, and I'm super honored to be alongside these awesome women in no-code for the panel today.
Awesome. Awesome. Sam, why don't you try and say that maybe one more time? It was a little hard to hear you.
It's a bit fuzzy. All right. I'm Samantha Lloyd. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Metaranks. Metaranks is a no-code AI platform. And like I said, I'm super excited to be here alongside these ladies today for the Women in No Code panel. So thank you, Lacey, for hosting.
Absolutely. We're so glad you're here. What about you, Mariam?
Hey, everyone. Can you hear me? Great to be here. Thanks a lot for the invite, and we are really excited to be here alongside all the other women. I'm Mariam, the co-founder and CEO of Software, and Software is a no-code platform to build websites and web apps using building blocks. And yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Sara, the founder of Alloy Automation, and we are a no-code tool for e-commerce stores to automate their work. And so we integrate with platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce, and we work with a lot of D2C and even like football and entertainment companies.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm so excited about all of the products that you guys are working on for the space. I think it's really, really exciting. So with this idea of bringing more women into no code and a way to help them elevate their voice and empower them with the tools that they need. I love that each one of you are contributing in a way that is showing how women are progressing and moving forward in this space. And I think that that's really exciting, seeing women who are CEOs who are leading the charge in this space with the platforms for women who don't know how to code, don't want to code, whatever it is that's, whatever's drawing them to this particular subset of tech. So I'd be really interested to hear from you, Sara. What do you think we could do to encourage more women to launch their own businesses within no code?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work to be done in educating like the general population on how to use no code and how to put all these tools together to form like a cohesive stack that you can use to start your business. And so, yeah, like with all of the companies at this conference, all of us can work together to create a better like education ecosystem. Particularly also have like programs targeted towards women to educate like on these tools. Since I think right now no code is almost a niche online. A lot of people who are developers currently are very hyped about it because it's the next step beyond just having APIs and scripts. And so we kind of need to like take a different route to market it towards people who aren't really deep in tech or developer tools.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think in some ways it feels like no code lives on Twitter and that's about it. Yeah. Like you don't really I see it in some Facebook groups, but that's kind of it. So I definitely agree. I think that branching out into other communities, because especially no code can be so unilateral. It can go into operations, marketing, design, product. I mean, any type of business sphere, it could live there and operate. And so I definitely agree with branching out and bringing in more women. I think that that's awesome. That's awesome. So this is a question for everyone. How could the no-code community as a whole do better and do more to help diversify these tech teams and the tech that is there right now? So with bringing women in, what are some practical steps that could be taken to make it a welcoming environment for women?
Sorry, I just had one point to bring up from the previous thing as well, as thinking about I think we could start even like younger with people in like women in college or high school, because that's where I think there's been a lot of progress made with like CS education programs, and no code can almost, like, we as the no code companies need to like work on sponsoring or even like getting into this early part of education.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of touching on that like early point, I think we're lucky with no code that it's getting very exciting. It's getting a lot of traction right now. So we have that kind of early access to it and awareness of it. And just having that will allow us to, I think, get an early, like to your point, sponsoring schools or getting involved in education so that we can start much sooner than a lot of these like computer science-based programs are trying to play catch up, and we might be able to just get in sooner.
Yeah, and maybe to add to that, I think also working with incubators, accelerators, and I have seen so many female really directed incubators coming up recently. I think it's a really great also way to encourage more women to start kind of, first of all, building businesses in general, but also to encourage them to start using no-code tools, because, you know, I mean, it's a fact, it's a known fact that female entrepreneurs receive just a tiny fraction of the venture capital funding, right? 2.2% to be exact. And that means they get less money, they have not so much possibility to hire teams, build products, etc. And I think no-code tools would just enable them, empower them to do more with less funding. And yeah, that will help them to start their businesses and just continue growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love that it was brought up about education. So like I'm on the education side, so you all are building products and I'm building the education side of it. And I love that you brought that up, because I do strongly believe that the sooner that we could get in and start working with women on these tools, like I was talking with someone not long ago about what it would look like to create like chapters at colleges, to have that women are building products and those sort of things. And I love that that was brought up. And I think that that's a really integral part of this movement, because it's still so young, but pushing it forward is like having that educational piece that involves women from the beginning and that women are leading out in is really going to be important to keep them inside the community. So Mariam, you have launched Softer, and then just did a Softer with web apps, which is really, really exciting and amazing. Congratulations. So what are you seeing in the industry as far as women being represented? Do you see, is it heavier on one side or the other?
Do you mean, thanks a lot, first of all. Do you mean like in the user base, whether they're, how is the female representation? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Yeah, and just in the industry, like with when you're doing your networking and calls and all of those things, I mean, how well do you see women represented here?
Yeah, well, I mean, generally, I think the answer is obvious that generally in the industry and tech in general, women are represented really very little. I mean, I work my entire career in product and tech, and I have been always the first engineer in every company I joined, and I have led all female or all male teams, all of the time. And I think it's just, yeah, it's changing, but it's really changing very slowly. And in the communities, especially when I'm also part of lots of female communities around female founders, etc. And I see not so many female founders knowing about the no-code space, and really not many getting into the space as well. I think it's just a matter of time, to be honest, because it's also a matter of awareness, and it's just going to change in the future as well. But yeah, trying to also kind of within our own communities organize events, organize more kind of broader sessions where we can include more women. We also kind of provide perks to these kind of programs where they would at least get to know first that they can build their idea with no-code tools, and then it's kind of a route for them to at least get into that. And then I think that's very easy then to bring them to the excitement level that, yes, you know, I mean, now I'm not dependent on anyone else or outside external funding. I can just do and build my idea myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So then to me, it's like when one of the greatest things about no code is that it allows for you to rapidly build and take your product to market quickly and get feedback and start iterating and start, making those core changes and seeing, is this actually going to work? Is this going to be a viable product? And so with no code, it allows us to do it faster, generally cheaper, and we can generally do it ourselves. So if that is kind of where things are shifting with development, and that's where the future is headed, then it makes sense to me that if we're kind of like saying, okay, we need to see more women represented in tech and stay in tech, not leaving because of issues that they've had with discrimination or with their male counterparts or what have you, then to me, it seems that getting women in and invested in the community and in the tools early on is highly important. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Anyone?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a great job that you are doing with your community and many others like similar to yours, where there's even like very special community just for women, because I think that's kind of a much safer place for women to get into. And I think you have noticed once regarding the Twitter, it seems sometimes it feels like there's lots of male no-code enthusiasts just retweeting each other's tweets, which sometimes looks a bit crazy, but I think it's also a bit of like cultural and like characteristic things. Think that maybe female founders or females are not really so much engaged and so much just kind of on the stage that much, whether it's a Twitter or anywhere else. So I think that's really great to have these kinds of close communities where you have all of them just working together, empowering each other, and having role models to kind of follow on.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you so much for that. Sam, so one of the big issues, I guess, in Silicon Valley is often that we see a lot of males building products that are solving issues that they face. What do you think no code can do for women to build products to solve issues that they face?
So I think the benefit of no code is it democratizes every field. So if you want to build a web app, a website, like we said, you have that kind of opportunity to just build it and build it alongside a community. Anytime you build a product, obviously, the more opinions and voices you have around that table, the better the product is going to be, and the more it's going to help a more diverse group of people. So no code, just allowing people that opportunity to build a website, to build an application, to build AI, to build whatever it is they have in mind, that's no doubt going to bring more voices to the table, and not just women, but it's going to just really open up the field to everyone. And I think that's, to me, what is hands down most exciting about no code.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. What do you think the no-code industry is like right now for women, Sara?
Yeah, I think it still kind of reflects the state of startups in like Silicon Valley and across the world, where I think at least for founders who are women in no code, it's like around the same ratio. I think it does come down to like getting more female founders, because starting a no-code platform requires a lot of code. And so we do need more, technical female founders in general. And then, like women who do use no-code tools in their jobs, I think it's still a pretty low number, because there are very few places to learn about no-code right now. I think there's a couple companies like Webflow and others that do a good job of distributing, like and hosting webinars and whatnot. But I think there could be more like centralization of like resources, or even like communities that are targeted towards women. So we could definitely work on that together.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. What are, kind of getting back to this idea of bringing more women into this space, and this is a question for everyone, what are practical things that companies, founders, investors in the space could do to help diversify it, continue to diversify it with more women? Do you have any practical steps that they could take, or some insider advice for them?
I think something that I know we're going to implement soon is just education. I think when you mentioned that education is the base of it, it definitely is. And you have to reach people, like Sarah mentioned with Webflow. You actually have to get out there and you have to find where people are who want to be technical or who want to use these tools. So things like YouTube videos that provide really quick use cases and just like empower your user to feel like, okay, I've got this, I can definitely do this. And having a lot of resources, again, Webflow has the best. I can't tell you how many times I Google things with Webflow and I can always find an answer on their website for it or from their users or YouTube videos. And I think that's really important. Empowering your user is 100% how you make people feel comfortable using your platform and then continuing to explore these tools.
Yeah.
I think another important aspect, as mentioned in the beginning, I think it's much easier to help girls get educated in the very early age, especially with the no-code tools, rather than learning to code. I mean, if in order to bring them into tech, of course, still learning to code, that's also something that they can do, but it's not going to be for everyone, right? Everyone is not going to learn how to code, etc. So I think it's even much easier right now with no-code tools to really get into kind of educational context and start from the very early age, like schools and universities, where I think there are some companies already doing that kind of practice, already teaching, like I think Webflow or Bubble are trying to do that. I think that's a great kind of initiative. And also other ways to kind of empower more women into getting into tech and also no code specifically is to really have some kind of role models, really kind of showcase and find women who have already used no code tools or who have built successful businesses, whether it's really based on no code or generally tech, and really make kind of promote them and really make them as their role models, because that really helps, especially the younger generation, to really see that, yes, this is something that I can do as well. I mean, this is someone did it, so I can follow their path. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the kind of recent generation, have followed people like Zuckerberg and people like all of these other platforms where mainly it's dominated by male. But I think once you have really prominent also female leaders and really actively showcase and promote them, that would really help also to bring more diversity into tech.
Yeah, I think similarly, there's a lot of these boot camps like General Assembly, even like Lambda School, where we could start like introducing no code concepts there. I think a lot of these boot camps have done a good job of having like gender and racial diversity in the classes they admit. So I think that could just go along with general like new models of CS education.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an interesting, I have a follow-up question for you on that then, Sarah. So do you think that we as like the no-code industry could see something like no-code boot camps that are kind of more geared toward getting a job in no code, doing no code? I mean, it's kind of weird because no code is a set of tools, right? But like we have Lambda School that allows you to get a job in CS. So like, do you think that we would see something like that within no code?
Yeah, I think as an industry, we definitely should like agree upon like, oh, like what, where would it be appropriate for companies to hire like no code experts, and like how do we certify this? I think there's like talk of like no code stacks, but I do think that excludes some like younger no code players. So it should just more be like a general education on the concepts of like how APIs and like RPA works, and then how no code plays into that. Also on that point, I do think a lot of terminology in no code, like saying the no code stack, actually excludes a lot of people who don't have the CS background to understand what a stack means. So I think there can also be a lot more like terminology adjustments that open up no code to more people.
Yeah, I think with the tools also becoming much easier over time, which I believe is going to happen, is it's not going to require really much technical background and understanding, and probably this also terminology will change over time. Yeah, and also, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just listening.
No, no, I just wanted to add something to the previous question. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, no. Yeah, I definitely think that we're going to see, like part of what I do now is training in different companies, investment groups, individuals on no code and like the capabilities. And I totally agree and love with what you said, Sarah. It's like we say no code is like for everyone, but then we use tech terms to describe it. And people are like, I don't know what a stack is. I don't know what, any of these things mean. And so I think kind of honing in on those things, though it may seem a little nuanced, is actually really important, because if we're meeting the people coming into the space like where they are, then we need to not kind of like barrage them with all of these tech terms that really that they don't matter to them right now, at least in the early beginning stages. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah, and also one thing that I think is gonna really happen is right now, I think the kind of level of for the population, the kind of average person knows Excel, right? So that's kind of the level that everyone kind of learns and then stops in terms of automation. And I think in about maybe 3 to 5 years or maybe earlier, we're gonna see people putting no-code stack, as you're saying, no-code stack in their resumes. And that's gonna be the kind of de facto standard. Instead of Excel, it's gonna be now everyone, an average person will have some kind of stack in their resumes where they can say, okay, I'm able to build stuff with these tools.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. So as we kind of look at the landscape, I'm curious to hear where each of you think we are in the phase of no code. Are we very early? Are we in infancy? I've already said that I think we're in infancy on here, so my cover is blown on what my perspective is, but I would love to hear where you think we are in this kind of movement that's embarking, kind of, sweeping across.
I see us as pretty young. I kind of see no code as just a very startup mentality. The community is very startup mentality, like super driven to make the best products, to give feedback on products and that kind of thing. But I do see us growing fast. So I guess I see, no code is like a startup that's like really picked up and it's gotten its products. I mean, if you look at B2B, I think it's a lot more ahead. Like the products that are targeted at B2B, I would say are beyond infancy, but the ones that are more consumer facing, I think are infancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, go ahead. Okay. So I also agree with that. With tools like Tray.io, like Workato, those have been around and serve like really big Fortune 500 companies. But I think in terms of prosumer tools, what can be almost like an email, as easy to use as an email client like Superhuman or like any of these, there's still a long way to go. And I think it just comes down to like helping very non-technical people recognize that code is like a means to like growth, and like you can leverage that with no-code tools. And so right now people turn to the tools they know, which are just spreadsheets and manual work. But they kind of like, I think the way to get no-code into the mainstream is to like show that it's important for any business venture.
Yeah, I can only echo what you're saying. And I wanted to say exactly the same, that there are lots of low-code tools and no-code tools that are targeting enterprise, and they have existed for 10 years. And I mean, even beyond that, there have been Dreamweaver and so many other tools that you could consider no-code, right? But I think the kind of more prosumer and consumerization of the whole no-code space, and also really enabling the next generation of people who are more tech-savvy, more entrepreneurial, being able to build stuff on their own, just having an idea and being able to start a business. I think that is something that is really just starting. And it's still, to me, is very, very early stages. Even if you look across all of the tools, there are so many tools popping up, but also all of the tools are very early. There's no really, I think, a clear leader within this whole ecosystem that can be kind of widely adopted and an average person knows and can use the tool. And yeah, I think not only the movement is really early, but even the tools themselves are still very early. And there is really a huge, huge way for all of us to go.
Wonderful. I love hearing that, those different perspectives. I think that's great. So I have a couple of questions left for you. One of them for all of you would be, what made you want to create a tool for the no-code space?
So for what we did, I put no code AI as what our company was, and I'd done some keyword research on it, and there wasn't a lot of actual like searches around no code AI. But I put it in our Twitter bio as well, no code AI, because it was what we were trying to achieve. And then that's how I actually stumbled into the no code community. I was one of those women who actually, I didn't know that no code kind of had like this whole ecosystem around it. I thought just some tools like needed code and some didn't. I didn't realize that there was a community and so much more around it. So I stumbled into it through Twitter, and I've been very happy to be here.
Yeah, I think for us, like, or for me, I was using Zapier a lot, basically like that plus Airtable maybe in some of the scripts there. And it just felt like there was a lot more room to build something a bit more powerful, but also still have the same automation capabilities. And so I sort of started hacking together stuff. I was really into RPA before, and so it felt natural to like, move from like some open source scripts to like an actual platform for others to use. So I think it's really cool to see a lot of people with like a hacker mindset and open source mindset like build these tools for others.
In my case, actually, it has been completely different route, to be honest, because I have worked as an engineer in my entire career. I have never heard of really, until like 2 years ago, I have to say I didn't even know about Wix or all the other tools because, you know, if I needed something, I could just code. And funny enough, the reason we started software is just because working in every other company for 13 years and also for my co-founder, we just have seen so much repetition in the whole entire software engineering space. Every other company kept rebuilding the same things over and over. I mean, you know best, every app has an authentication, payments, messaging, and all of that. And on the other hand, we also have been leading tech and product teams, and we just have, while hiring engineering talent, we have seen the scarcity, and we know how difficult it is to learn to code. And I mean, accelerators are just exponentially growing, and it kind of has become an elite group of people who know how to code. And then we thought, why not to have a platform where all of these repetitive components are offered as building blocks? And then on top of that, people just build what's unique to their business. And that's how we really started software. And only then I started really doing a bit more research, getting into and looking what types of tools are out there. And I realized, I mean, there is really already quite some no-code tools. There is kind of a movement around that. And yeah, it was really funny also to find it out. But then we kind of really try to understand where is the gap in the market, where we need to really come in and really try to solve the issue. And that's where we kind of, right now, we want software to really fill that gap which exists in the market.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome answers, awesome. Okay, last question for everyone is, I just popped over to the other side to see there's like 260 people watching right now, which is wild to me. And for those women that are watching this, do you have any words of encouragement that you can share with them about being in this space, or any advice that you would like to give them, the founders, the women that are toying with ideas, just trying to figure out what they want to do, and the ones that are just kind of scoping it out to see, you know, is this a place that they can exist and build and feel safe and supported?
So my advice would be to build alongside this community. Everyone is really welcoming. Everyone is super helpful. I think I say it a million times, but if we had been in B2B or any other space, there's no way we would have gotten the amount of feedback that we would have on this product. So I would say just put yourself out there on Twitter, put what you're building on Twitter, join some of the Slack channels or Women in No Code, the group, and just share what you're building so you can get that feedback and build the best product for this community.
I think generally now is really one of the best times to really become an entrepreneur, build your own business. If you have an idea, I would say just go and start doing it. You don't have, 99% cases, you don't need funding, you don't need a technical co-founder. You most probably can start building your product with existing no-code tools. It's just a matter of really understanding what you're building, which tools are a perfect fit for that. And as Samantha mentioned, I think being in those communities, really working together with those people would really help also figure out that question, and then just start building, get traction. And yeah, once you get traction, once you get revenue and millions of users, then you can start thinking of the next steps. But I think just to start and to really become an entrepreneur, kind of have a control of your future or the future of the company is really the best time right now. And just go and do it.
Yeah, I think like the best type of support I've had is just people in this space, like just bouncing ideas off of them and like learning from them. So I'm happy, like my DMs are open if anyone wants to just shoot their idea by or just needs support or encouragement. I'm always happy to help.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you all so much for being here, for sharing your insights and your wisdom and your perspective with us. I hope that if you're watching this and you're hearing all of these women talk, that you're encouraged and know that you're supported and wanted in this space. I know that Sam, Mariam, and Sara and I are all, sorry, I got choked for a second. That was bad. I know that we are all wanting to help and encourage you and share resources and put you in any direction that would be beneficial to you. So don't hesitate to reach out if we can be of any help. And thank you so much, Zeroqode, for having us, for allowing us to do this panel. We are very thankful and excited to see the upcoming talks.
Thank you so much, Lacey. And it's great to see that you're so passionate about this topic and leading the whole panel. It was really great to watch all of it and listen to all of you discuss. So thank you so much for cueing us into that conversation today.
Yeah, thank you.